Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as we are now into a very long dry spell which is likely to last all the way into early November. We have seen a bit of rain through today, that is Monday, but over the coming 5 days and the next week or two, we're going to see very little rain apart from the far north and west of Scotland, and it is going to be pretty mild indeed. As we see from the longer range charts and the ensembles, these conditions could last into the first 5 or 10 days of November, and some of the ensembles we're going to see at the end of the video as the ensemble charts. Charts that would be more suited for the middle of summer, where we see zero precipitation spikes and well above average temperatures for the foreseeable future with very little deviations in the ensembles. It is a remarkable pattern that is developing, not for the UK. We see these patterns in the summer, potentially the spring, but for autumn when the polar vortex is getting going, the jet stream is powering up. To see this sort of pattern late October into early November is pretty remarkable, and it is going to set us up for a pretty delightfully dry next couple of weeks. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, which do like and subscribe. Remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link is in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, it's actually dry as I'm recording this around 8:45 in the evening. But earlier today, we had seen the decaying weather fronts moving through, bringing a bit of drizzle and just thick clouds. So it's been a little bit miserable, but really not too bad. No real heavy rain around. Now, if you look at the temperatures, as I said just before 9 o'clock, it's been pretty mild. Of course, with rain and cloud, it doesn't feel all too warm or mild, but it has actually been pretty warm compared to what we can see this time of year. And this sort of pattern is likely to continue for the foreseeable future. Now, if you go over to the latest UKV, it is pretty hard to believe, but we're going to see very little rainfall at all the next 5 days. You can see the drizzle and the lighter rain moving through earlier. But as we head into Tuesday, you can see again a few odd showers, a few bits of drizzle, but that doesn't really count. It's mostly dry, still some thick cloud around, but a bit of sunshine could peek through. As we head into Wednesday, it's a similar story. A few patches of lighter rain, but actually it is again bone dry for most. Again, a bit of thick cloud, some low cloud as well. So again, it could be a little bit miserable, but generally, again, no rain. That is a positive this time of year, where we can have Atlantic onslaught, weather front after weather front, wind, squally showers, anything remotely dry. That is beautiful, personally, and I think for most people watching this. As we head into Halloween, of course, quite an important day. People out trick-or-treating or doing something outdoors. You can see it is again mostly dry. There's a little bit of rain for western Scotland and a weak weather front just across the northern tip of Scotland, but again, for 95% of the British Isles, it is bone dry, a bit of thick cloud, a bit of mist and fog potentially, but again, really, really good. As we head into Friday, the first day of November, again, a little bit of rain for northern Scotland. As I said, the far north and west could still see rain from these transient weather fronts that are trying to push the higher pressure away, but again, 90% of the British Isles, bone dry, bit of thicker cloud, maybe a few patches of drizzle, and then into Saturday as well. That rainfall moves away. Again, pretty cloudy, it's a bit dreary out there, but generally, again, bone dry and really quite pleasant. See, the upper air temperatures are generally going to be hovering well above average by a good 5 degrees over the coming days. Because of that added warmth and humidity in the air, it does actually aid that development of cloud and low mist and fog, unfortunately. So that's kind of the caveat we get this time of year, because of that slightly warmer upper air temperatures, with a bit more moisture in the air and the surface temperatures cooling down because of the long nights, the decreasing sun strength. It does mean that we can see those areas of fog develop and maybe slightly chillier conditions at the surface. But again, I'm just clutching at straws here for slight negatives in this overall very positive pattern. Again, you can see the high pressure is building in at the moment, and it pretty much dominates and hardly moves over the next 5 days. There's no real point even running through it. But if we do look at the temperatures, you can see as we head into Tuesday, it's going to be a pretty fine day, widely low to mid-teens, and that's going to be a recipe for the coming days as well. As we head into Wednesday, pretty much the same, again 10 to 15 degrees. For Halloween, again, a pretty mild Halloween, widely 10 to 15 degrees. Again, some higher ground, maybe high single digits for most, double digits into the teens. Friday, first day of November, again, when we start to expect us to cool down, again, low to mid teens. And then finally for Saturday, not quite as mild, maybe more towards sort of the 10 to 13 degree mark. And that's just because we've got some thicker cloud trapping some cold air at the surface. But again, I'm clutching at straws there. It's just a couple of degree temperature drop. It's really nothing particularly significant. So you can see here from the latest UKV, we are now into this dry period. Very little rainfall apart from the far north and west of Scotland. And it is going to be pretty mild. Not warm, no Indian summer type pattern. We sort of direct southerly to see something like that this time of year. But we can't get much better than what we've got coming up at the moment. Now, if I do head over to the latest GFS, the high pressure hangs around for pretty much 90% of this run, all the way into early November. You see high pressure building at the moment. It does ebb and flow, could allow some weak weather fronts to push in at times as it sort of gets pushed away and rebuilds back in. So there's the risk at times. You can see here, potentially early next week, getting pushed away into Europe slightly, maybe some transient weather fronts before building back in a couple of days later. Right towards the end of the run, still in control. Right though at the last day or so, lower pressure starts to nudge in. Not really fully pushing in, but it's weather fronts of that lower pressure starting to come in from the west. Now the big thing to look at is if we put on the accumulated precipitation, look at that. If I go out to 348 hours, this is really when we start to see a little bit more rain pushing in. Bone dry across much of the UK and for much of Europe. 1 to 2 millimetres for most, maybe a little bit more rain in the north and west of Scotland, but it is very quiet indeed, and most of this will be coming from a little bit of drizzle. And you can see where the rain is. It's just out in the Atlantic. It's not far away. The jet stream isn't dying away. It's just getting held off by the extension of high pressure that is building over the top of us. And as I said, for much of Europe is bone dry as well, which again will be pretty positive indeed if you are looking forward to getting out there enjoying the late autumnal conditions. Now, if you compare to the latest GM, again, high pressure built in, ebbs and flows similar to the GFS, and right towards day 10, again, it's still in control, but some lower pressure starting to nudge back in, and you can already see some showers are starting, making a bit of an advance there in around 10 days' time. So, yeah, very much similar over the next 7 or 8 days, maybe breaking down slightly beyond that. And you can see that from the accumulated precipitation. Again, traces of rain the next sort of week to sort of 7, 8, 9 days. And then right towards that day 10, we start seeing more substantial rain moving in. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that. But again, we're looking well in advance. The sort of short to medium term, the reliable time frame, bone dry. Now, to finish for these long range charts, have a look at the latest ECMWF. Again, we've got high pressure building in, stunning and warm and dry. And then as we do head towards the day 10, we do again see some strain from Atlantic systems to our west. But then it looks like another high pressure system is going to nudge in. And again, we are looking bone dry. Bit of rain starting to nudge in from the west for Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland there at day 10. So a little bit like the GM, but not pushing it in as far. For most, though, again, bone dry. We're looking at traces of precipitation from much of England and Wales. Again, a little bit more touch and go for Scotland, Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, just because it is closer to the edge of that higher pressure and closer to those weather fronts. So again, we'll have to see exactly what happens, but the next 5 to 7 days looks stunning, dry and mild. Beyond that, looks likely to continue, just that chance does diminish slightly just because of uncertainty we do inevitably get. Now, if you look at the ensembles, you can see they are summer-like. Again, I'm not saying the exact temperatures are summer-like, but this sort of chart where we've got the average and we've got the ensemble mean being a good 5 degrees above that average, that is a typical warm, hot summer pattern, and you can see zero precipitation throughout the next week. Maybe 8, 9, 10 days. Bit of precipitation picking up right in the extended range, but again, that is just a few ensemble members. Again, picking up on a few things as we head into mid-November. Dare I say mid-November, we're talking about a bit of precipitation potentially returning. And so the short to medium term, bone dry with above average temperatures, it looks stunning. If you look at the sea level pressure, again, high pressure dominating. 1, 2, 3 runs there, going below 1,000 millibars, kind of unheard of for mid to late autumn, especially for a full ensemble chart. Again, We can see 3, 4, 5 days. We can see decent periods of high pressure around in autumn. This dominance for a good week to potentially 2 weeks is pretty insane. Now, the thing is, it's not just for London, it's further northwards as well. Look at Glasgow, for example. There are more lower pressure runs developing here, but it is still generally high pressure dominated. If we do look at the upper temperatures and precipitation, again, a little bit more deviation with the temperatures. And again, that's because we could see small breakdowns in the high pressure, small weather fronts pushing through. But again, it looks pretty much bone dry for the next week, apart from a few small spikes. And even longer term, it looks relatively low as well. And then finally, if we compare it to the ECMWF, the midday run, it's just coming out, so we'll have a look at the midnight run. Again, broadly very similar. Well above average, a few small precipitation spikes over the next week or so, but we're looking at traces of rain, 0.5 millimetre, 1 millimetre, a bit of transient drizzle or something. But again, mostly bone dry, well above average temperatures, looking stunning as we do head into early November. So if you haven't got any plans for fireworks night or Halloween, then good thing, it is looking very dry indeed. So make sure you do go out and enjoy it. I know in past years it's been very cold, it's been miserable, windy, rainy. This year it is stunning. Dry, still, mild. Can't get much better than that. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.